Gauntlet match, the tag team Gauntlet. I think this is the first time you witnessed a Gauntlet match.
Yeah.
So let's just. I'm curious. What you think as a whole?
I like the match. I didn't have a problem with it. I like the style of the match of two teams competing at first, and then once they're eliminated, another team can come out. I didn't have a problem with it. Overall, I do like the performance of the Street Profits. I like how the match made them look, probably say even more formidable. I would say probably even more formidable than the Bloodline, since they kind of um, put them in the back. I'm referring to the Bloodline, just having the last person to come out, even though they're supposed to be the most dangerous group out there. So I would have actually liked it if they came out actually first and beat all of the groups. It would actually made them even more formidable. But no, I think this match actually made the Street Profits even more formidable because they literally went through most of the teams and then they got stopped. They didn't even get destroyed by the Bloodline. They just got like it was just like a they
A
just got
mixture of
beat.
exhaustion, yeah.
Yeah, exhaustion. It just got beat. But I like the match though. I like the style of the match, and I think that should probably happen more. They probably can't do it that much more, but
What do you mean, the gauntlets?
Yeah, the gauntlet type match.
Oh yeah, WWE loves a good gauntlet match, and this is. You bring up a lot of the points that I had on this too. They always do gauntlet matches well. I can't think of a single gauntlet match they've done poorly, and this was no exception. Although it was kind of formulaic, every time they seem to have one team or one individual in that match, they use it as an opportunity to present them as the Iron Man, the Iron Survivor, and that was the Street Profits in this role. They survived. They survived how many teams? Pretty Deadly, Baron Corbin and Cruz, the OC.
Is the Legato too?
Legato, yeah. They beat at least 4 teams that night, and so even in their loss, this does protect them because they were able to stave off that many challengers, and it shows them as they still do have favorable booking. If they had to lose a match, this was the best position you could have possibly put them in.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, I would say for the other teams, Cruz and Corbin, they're gelling very well. The one thing that does throw me off about them is the fact that now that they're a team, why not have matching gear? It's just a minor nitpick, but I would enjoy that. Just the sense of cohesion. Then the counter from Apollo Crews onto I think it was Angel Garza from the Wing Clipper, and then he tagged out, and Baron Corbin came in and hit him at the end of days. I thought that was really smooth. I'm a real big fan of Baron Corbin's most recent work. It's just a matter of finding something that works for him. I want to see him outside of the tag division sometime soon, preferably back in singles competition, potentially in singles gold. And although another positive on Cruz and Corbin, Apollo Crews is now getting positive fan reactions. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like when he was doing stuff in the ring, people were applauding and cheering and stuff like that, getting behind him. As before, it was just like he was just a super athlete, and that was just his thing, and nobody cared. It's like, wow, he's doing another flip. This time, he actually got some crowd engagement. So, the team for Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews, this has a really high potential upside for both of them. I would say in the immediate future. Long term, I don't know about that.
Okay. Yeah. What about the other teams?
Well, let's get to those. There was a nasty spot on the same subject, kind of into the Street Profits. There was a nasty spot where Apollo Crews got dropped on his head. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And you always tell those spots when they think somebody might be effed up because the referee goes for the hand grab, and if the wrestler squeezes, they're okay. If they don't squeeze it, then you know something's, like I said, f***ed up. And that was a little bit scary, not gonna lie. And then they had another spot where he was fighting Pretty Deadly, and then he got chop blocked, and he had Wilson in the suplex position, and then he dropped Wilson too. I don't know if that. I wouldn't blame Montez. I wouldn't say that because it's a position where you're getting chop blocked, you're getting hit in the back of your knee, and you don't have as much control over where your opponent falls. And so I hope he doesn't get heat backstage for those two incidents, but it's just something to be mindful of. Is like, will he be blamed for this? I mean, it's.
Well, I think the other thing too to recognize when it comes to Apollo Crews getting dropped on his head, Montez Ford is kind of significantly taller than Apollo Crews. So with that move, he has to be in a certain position so he don't get kind of dropped on his head. If you understand what I'm talking about, because Apollo Crews is kind of so short, so it's not really Montez's fault at all. It's not.
I get it, but as a wrestler, one of your I think the number one priority they tell their wrestlers when they train them is your priority is to protect your opponent.
Hmm.
And so, like, even with that being the case, there's been several instances where it wasn't your fault, but the other wrestlers. So even when Braun Breaker, who was he fighting the other week, where they did the backflip off the barricade, and he caught them, like when their head was like a foot away from the ground from landing on their head.
I don't remember.
Well, I do, but it happened like in the past 2 weeks, and that's just some of the things you have to keep in mind. Even when Logan Paul, when he caught Rey Mysterio for doing a moonsault, almost the same thing in the ring. He caught him when because Rey's aim was a little bit off, and that could potentially end it very disastrously. But like I said, their priority is to protect your opponent. They're trusting with their body, and I mean that's something that can be considered. I don't think that Montez Ford is an unsafe worker, but these days you have to be very mindful of perception, and then also, especially backstage when it comes to heat, that could stop a push. I mean, they had a really strong booking in that match last night, and I'm just going to be mindful of where their position is on the card moving forward. If we start to see them getting jobbed out and losing matches and disappearing off TV, well, quite possibly the case.